Welcome to Networking Unleashed Building Profitable Connections, the show where meaningful relationships create real opportunity. I'm your host, Michael Forman. Building a business isn't a straight line. Every entrepreneur faces obstacles, moments where the strategy feels uncertain. The pressure builds, and the next step isn't always clear. What often makes the difference is those moments isn't just skill or determination, it's the relationships around you. My guest today has experienced the journey of overcoming challenges while scaling businesses to new levels. We're going to talk about how strong connections help entrepreneurs navigate tough decisions, why trust becomes even more important as a company grows, and how the right conversations can open doors when progress feels difficult. If you want to learn how resilience and relationships work together to create real business growth, you're in the right place. I'd like to welcome to the podcast today, Scott. I know you are going to talk about all this stuff, and I'm really looking forward to the podcast. But I'm really interested in you and how you got where you are today. Why don't you enlighten us a little bit?
Sure. So I won't tell you all the boring details, but when I was 27 years old, I was homeless. I was living on the streets. I was living a very strange life, right? So, by my own doing, by the way. Luckily, I got out of that situation. Somebody showed some interest in me, which the reason I bring that up is because I think that's relatable to anything in life, personal or business, right? Somebody took an interest in me and they believed in me and they said, "Hey, we're willing to help you out." And I became a truck driver, right? I was a Teamster truck driver in Brooklyn, New York. And one day I was driving down the street and I was like, you know what, this is not for me. Nothing wrong with being a truck driver, by the way, but I just realized that I had a lot more potential than that. I left that job and I ended up starting a trucking company, right, with a partner. And we built that thing we bought a little tiny company and we both had a couple of trucks. So I think our first year of revenue was about 145,000, something like that. We built that business up to about 6 million bucks. And then I left that. I have 3 kids. They're all adults now. At that time, I made the decision to go back to the corporate world, right? So I spent many years in the corporate world building businesses, building big sales teams. My last endeavor in the corporate world was bringing new product to market for a specialty vehicle manufacturer. We took that thing from, I'll call it a negative 12 million because it was a $12 million investment. And when I retired from that 2 years ago, they did about 450 million bucks, something like that, for that one division. A few years before that, I had started a couple of my own businesses. One I started on my own, one I have with my wife, and then that's bloomed into 4 businesses now. What was supposed to be retirement and taking it easy is turned into be more work and many more hours. And of course, as you probably know, Michael, I work for the single worst boss on planet Earth, which is myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
There is no worse boss than yourself because you're so
absolutely.
hard
Yeah,
on yourself. You don't give yourself any leeway. Listen, if you've made it in business, you're that kind of a boss.
that's right.
That's how I can tell whether you made it or not. Okay.
That's
So,
good.
anyway, thank you for that. Let's just go into a few questions and we'll see where that takes us.
Sure.
When building and scaling a business, how do relationships help you navigate obstacles that strategy alone can't solve?
Yeah. I believe, this is just my personal belief, that people, and by virtue of that or extension of that, relationships, is the single most critical piece of being able to determine whether a business will succeed or not, right? Matter of fact, I'm dealing with a company right now that I consult with. They have wrong people. Like the owner brought in some wrong people up front. They're good people. They're hardworking, but they don't have the skill set. They don't have the know-how. So it's extremely important to have, first of all, at least 1 or 2 people that you can trust implicitly and they trust you. And then from there, you can build out a team. And look, it's very important I discovered over the years in running corporate businesses and then running my own businesses, Leaders develop leaders. They don't lead people. Yes, they lead. Yes, they set the direction, but they create other leaders. And that's what gets your business to grow. That's what gets your enterprise to become very robust.
You hit on a very important strategic point, right? This I on some of my workshops or when I go on stages and I talk about leaders and bosses and the differences between the two. And the thing is that you want leaders, you don't want bosses, you don't want some middle management guy taking the orders and giving the orders and walking away and say that's enough. You want those leaders to get down into the foxhole with them and to give them the responsibility and show them what true leadership is, taking the bad with the good,
That's
taking your
right.
hits when and it shows it, but that shows you so much. And you're absolutely 100% correct. You want leaders, you don't want bosses or management or anything else like that, right?
That's right.
So you can have 100 employees, you have 100 leaders.
That's right.
Okay, looking back at your journey,
Mm-hmm.
where was there a connection or a conversation that helped you overcome a major challenge?
Wow, that's a great question. I worked at GE Capital many years ago, one of the divisions of GE Capital, and that division was owned by Roger Penske, the very famous race car, Penske Racing, and very famous, owns car dealerships, all kinds, billionaire. And the first time I met him in person, I got introduced to him. We were with a group of people, and then I saw him several months later at an event, an awards event down in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I came walking into the room and I walked over toward him and he said, "Scott Miller from New Jersey, how the heck are you?" This guy's a billionaire, right? I'm like, and I'm scratching my head. I'm looking around for who's holding up the cue cards or something, like, how does he know my name? And he and I got talking and he thanked me for the job I was doing with the company and blah, blah, blah. But he said something that was very key to my growth over the years. Is he said to me, he said, "If you ever have a problem, reach out to me and I'll help you." And I thought he was just saying that. I thought it was just niceties. And what I discovered afterwards, the event was over and I was talking to some VP or something. I said, "Man, I walked down there. He knew my name, like he offered to help me." And he said, "First of all, once he meets you, he'll remember your name, always." And this guy must meet thousands and thousands of people. I don't know how the heck he does it. And he said, and when he told you to reach out to him, and he said he doesn't tell everybody that. He tells many people, but not everybody. He means that. If you need something, call him up. Reach out to his assistant and he'll connect with you and help you. But the thing he told me that night was he said, when you're doing well, when you think you're all that and things are going great, don't forget that you're just a guy, like you're just a human being. And we do make mistakes and we do have problems. And when you do, take that moment to reflect back on the wins that you've had and the things that you've, not just in business, but the things you've overcome in life. So that was probably the single best. That was a very great encouragement that I got early in my career.
And that's so good because I know a handful of, I wouldn't say billionaires, but they're millionaires. And two or three of them are like, you can't even talk to them. They're so above you. But then there are two or three that I know of that they'll give you the shirt off their back. But they're
Yeah,
just nice guys and they want to hang out with you and they're just so real and authentic. And I know the difference that you're talking about. And it's very important to not lose track of who you are and where
that's
you
right.
came from. How difficult, how do difficult periods in business change the way someone approaches networking and partnerships?
Yeah, again, from where I sit, relationships and people in your business are absolutely critical to your success. And when you meet with a setback or a problem, or if you meet with a person who's not genuine. You find out afterwards that these are not people that are necessarily in your corner, and not against the grain of what seems to have developed in society today. You don't have to make a big to do about it. Just exercise those people from your life and do it quickly. The old saying of ripping the Band-Aid off and get around. Going back to the interesting part is I know a lot of millionaires. Some of them are nouveau riche, right? They're pretty impressed with how they made them. They got $1 million. And then there's the people from old money. They think about it differently. The billionaire, and I know 3 billionaires. I'm friends with 3 billionaires. These are people that are willing to help you. They want you to win. See, they have nothing left to prove. They do. These are people that are they're still going on an upward trajectory, but they have nothing to prove at that point. You know what I mean? And so the 3 of them that I'm personal friends with 2 of them, and I'm pretty friendly with the other one, is they see the value in helping people, especially when they've had a defeat. Many people, men more so than women, I think, when they meet with defeat in business, we tend to hide. We don't want to tell people about it. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating. It dings our pride. It dings our ego, right? But when you know that you have certain people around you that you can reach out for support, and not just support, there's one thing they have to say, hey, man, that's too bad. Pat you on the back. Let's look at what happened. Look at what happened. Let's develop a plan for going forward from here. Great. And now they kick you in your butt and say, hey, now it's time to go. No more licking your wounds. No more crying about it. You had that part is over. Now let's go. So, that if you realize there's nothing wrong with failure, then it's easy to still look for not only networking opportunities, but I'm always trying to elevate myself in the crowd that I keep, the people that I try to get around, just for that reason, because I know that people who have been there and done that and know a lot more than me and have a lot more money than me and a lot more success. I know that many of these people, not all of them, but many of them are willing to help.
It's so true. And really, I don't look at the money aspect of it. It's if the person has made it, and making it doesn't necessarily mean they're super wealthy.
Yeah.
Making it is just making it, right? And whether or not they offer a hand, they offer their support. I mentor 3 or 4 kids at
Yeah.
this time, and I coach them, and I part of my business. That's great. I also have a coach,
Yeah.
a- and he's somebody who has made it, and he's always willing, and he doesn't charge me for it, but he's always willing to say, no, I want you to step back. I want you to think about this. And I want you to think about it XYZ. And it's a whole different personality that you take on, because you know that they have nothing to lose. They have nothing really to gain. They have
Right.
nothing to lose, but they're to help you.
That's
And
right.
that speaks volumes to me.
Yeah.
Okay. When scaling a business, how do you identify which relationships will move the company forward?
Again, that comes more into not just skill set, but how people think, right? Usually when I work with a business to scale, there's a couple of checkpoints. There's checkpoints where people get stuck along the way. And every one of these checkpoints has to do with people. It has to do with the right people to grow a business, right? So the first thing is you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're a solopreneur, whatever. Excuse me. And you get over the $1 million mark, that's a great achievement. Around $3 million, that person will get stuck. They need another person in that business at that point to get them over that $3 million hurdle, right? The next checkpoint is around $7, $8 million. And again, at that point, they need to hand the operations of the business off to a trusted servant at that point so they can be more of a visionary in the business. Yes, they may still have their hand in the business and guiding it, whatever, but they need to think more strategically at that point. So you have to have that person that you trust. And it's absolutely critical. The wrong people will hold you back. I mentioned earlier, I'm working with a company right now. Guy's stuck around $10 million. He has the wrong management team, the wrong team. And they're great people, but they don't have the skill set to grow a business. This guy wants to do $100 million a year. He's got a 10x from where he is right now. And we have conversation after conversation about you have to let these people go. Move them into a different position or let them go and align yourself with people that have the skill set to do it, but also think like you, right? If you have somebody who's super conservative and you're more aggressive, that's going to be, it can be a healthy conflict if the conservative guy's your CFO. But if it's a visionary guy or gal, you want them to have more of be a little bit more bullish on how you're going to grow the business. But yeah, it's very important skill set, but also mindset. Do they have a similar thinking style, I'll call it, as you?
Now, tell me if I overstepped my bounds here a little bit. What did that company do? Did he move the employees the way you suggested or
Mm,
not?
he's making the move right now. I literally was on a call with him this morning. So he's
Okay.
now moved one of the people who, very capable person, work wise, but they're a very emotional person. They don't get along with other people in the organization. They look at other people as threats to themselves. And so I've been telling, hey, this woman needs to move out of the role she's in into something else, which we executed on that this morning. So we let her know. And so now I think at first she thought she was getting fired, which she was not. She's a great person, by the way. She's very loyal, very good at what she does. She's just not right for the level of role that she was in. She needs a little bit more development. She may fit into that somewhere down the road, but not right now.
Okay. Okay. I was just interested. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What signals tell you someone has the resilience and mindset to be a valuable long-term partner?
Look, the people that are willing to do what it takes, they're easy to spot these days. I don't know
Very
if this
true.
is a knock on younger people. I'm assuming some of your audience is younger, so please don't send me hate mail or anything like that. But I'm 68 years old. The work ethic from my generation to what I see now, and by the way, these young folks, super talented, very smart, but they have a different viewpoint of the world as to what it takes to get things done. And I have one of my children, by the way, is a millennial, very talented person, super, super talented salesperson, made at a very young age, made a lot of money. And then he retired when he was 30 years old, right? Now he's going back into the work game. And I was talking to him. He's, yeah, I don't want to work more than a few hours a day. And I literally just got home from Vietnam. We live part of the year in Vietnam. As soon as it gets cold in Chicago, we go to Vietnam. And we were doing a business conference in Nha Trang, which is mid coast. And then we went up to Da Nang. And those two areas are known for expats from all over US, Canada, Europe, Australia. They go there and they live this laptop lifestyle. And when you see this on social media, you're thinking, wow, this would be great. And then I go and I see how they live. And I'm like, it's great that you work 3 hours a week, but I don't want to live like you do. Yeah. But anyway, it's easy to, when you ask people, I give you an example. This company that we were just talking about, we have a woman we want to move into a general manager role at that company, and she's not quite ready yet. But we mentioned her a few things, and then she heard the CEO say, he made a passing comment one day on one of our meetings. I wish somebody knew how to do Excel, work in Excel. It seems like nobody knows how to do that anymore. And then the next meeting we had with her, she said, hey, I just want to let you guys know, I signed up for Excel and I'm going through this 6 month long, online course, but it's with a live teacher. She did that on her own. So, of course, we asked her how much she paid for it and we reimbursed her for it. It wasn't very much money. But the point is, she took the initiative. She heard something and took the initiative to learn how to do that and how to be better at her job and bring more value to the company.
Yeah, not again, not saying anything against my younger listeners. I'm
Yeah.
64. I'm 64.
Yeah.
Okay. You and I grew up at the same age, doing, working as hard and picking up on those little nuances, saying, if the boss said that he needed this, I did everything in my power either to do it, to learn it, to get it, to whatever the case may be. So the next time I was in his presence, I said, I got that.
That's right.
Or I'm learning that. I'm being taught that. Or I'm doing this. I took the initiative on my own. And I speak at high schools, at colleges, Gen Z, how they are not making it in the workforce, how they are. I did a whole thing from about 1,000 employers,
Yeah.
and 700 employers won't deal with a Gen Z person.
Yeah.
The other 300 won't even give them the interview. And the questions were like, why? And
Right.
it's very simple. They don't want to have to deal with their, I only want to work 3 days a week. I only want to
Right.
work 5 hours a day. I need time off to have my dry cleaning done, all that kind of stuff. And it's very difficult. So I go in and I talk to these students about that and how to get through it. But that it all comes in. It's a mindset. It's a different mindset.
Yeah. There was a saying when you and I came up called "you had to earn your stripes,"
Absolutely.
and it
A-
wasn't just given to you. And I'm going to back up and defend the Gen Z slightly right now and say maybe I'm going to insult them and back them up at the same time. But we've created this laziness by virtue of how easy it is to do things. Calculators, computers, now AI does everything for you. And by virtue of that, we're creating an entire world of people that are inherently lazy. They're not lazy people. They're just taught to be lazy in how they do things. They don't have to think. They don't. When pocket calculators first came out, my father is a nuclear engineer. And I said, hey, can I go get one of these pocket calculators? He said, nope. And he handed me a slide rule. He goes, here's your calculator. You can learn how to do it on this. I had to learn how to do math on a slide rule. But you know what? It made me better for having done that. I don't use a slide rule today, obviously, but it made me better at the time because it made me think about how, not only how to get to something, an answer, but whether it was the right answer or not. Right now, people just of all ages rely on the computer said this or AI said that, so that must be the right answer, and they don't question it.
Absolutely. It's like going to the Encyclopedia Britannica. When I grew up, we had the full set of encyclopedias, and you
Right?
know that they're outdated every year. So they like had to get new, and that's what I remember. And if I had to go look something up, I went to the encyclopedia.
That's
I didn't go to my phone and say, no, it's wrong. But and the other problem with that, using AI and all that, because I use AI, I write articles for a company, AI, and everything
yeah,
else. But what does the AI do? It scours the internet for your answer as well as I do. All those answers aren't correct.
that's right.
So you really, it's that personal that you have to know how to cipher through all of the information you get.
Yeah,
So but that I could have a whole separate podcast just for that.
that's right.
Okay, so what mistakes do growing businesses make when they focus too much on expansion and not enough on relationships?
That's a two. There's two pieces to that. There's the financial piece. There's the person piece. Too many companies. There's only one number that matters in business when you're in expansion or any time in your business. There's only one number that ever matters in your business. What is your net? How much money do you have after you paid your taxes? That's it.
Your
Now,
bottom line.
bottom line, when you're growing a business, when you're scaling a business, you have to have your revenue, your EBITDA, and your net. They all need to go in a similar trajectory. If they're not going, if you hyper growth a business and your EBITDA drops off a cliff, you're going to run out of money unless you got a big backer or something like that. You're going to run out of dough, and it can be catastrophic, right? It's the same thing with net. You can fool yourself with cash flow and not be making any money. That's a slower death, but it's a death nonetheless. And then the other piece is to the people piece. Again, if you have the wrong people in place, you will limit how much you can grow a business. It's that simple. So the relationships with not only your people, but your vendors and your customers are uber important, like super duper important, right? Because there's going to come a time in business where you're going to have an ask of somebody, whether it's your employees need to put in a little extra without some extra pay because you're going through a rough patch, or if it's a vendor that you need to ask them to go 45 or 60 days instead of 30 days, or if it's a customer that you have to go in there and resell the value of what you do for them, or whatever it is, the relationship piece, those three relationships are critically important. And I don't think, me personally, especially when I was in a rank and file sales role many years ago, I didn't spend enough time. Now, I wasn't dealing with vendors or other employees at the time, but the customers, I'm a hunter by nature. I like to go out and find new business. I'm not a great customer relationship person because I don't like to go and kibitz. I don't want to go hang at the bar. I don't want to go to ball games. I don't want to do any of that stuff. So years ago, I worked for a company. I got called into the regional office in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I come in and the vice president says, quick, it was like a secret thing. Quick, come down here to my office. I'm like, oh, okay. I go in this office, close the door. I close the door. And he pulls out my expense reports. And I'm thinking, oh boy, I do everything by the book. But he pulls them out, he spreads them out on the desk, and he goes, I need you to explain this to me. And I go, what? His name was Larry. I'm like, what, Larry? What's the problem? He goes, you don't spend nearly enough money. You got to start with, we have a budget. We're going to lose that budget if you don't start spending money. You got to take people out to ball games, and you got to do this and go play golf and buy them presents and all this other stuff. And I was like, okay, but those things are critically important. Those three relationships, very important. And then the other relationship that people often overlook, again, just my opinion, but is the relationship that you have with yourself as you grow. Because if you're not growing as a person, as you grow your business, you're going to have some rough spots along the road. You need to be able, in my opinion, a person needs to be able to develop themselves at the same time as they grow a business and develop other people within their organization. So the person that thinks they know it all and they're done learning stuff, they're toast, in my opinion. So
Absolutely. You have to be confident in yourself. And there's a fine line between confident and arrogant.
yeah,
And you can't cross that line, but you have to be confident in yourself. And what does that mean? That means I've got more to learn, but I'm confident in what I know. So I can take it to the next level. When I get to that next level, I can then take it to the next level.
that's
And I
right.
can go so on. But I can't cross that line to become so arrogant saying, I don't need you. I know everything.
Yeah.
Okay. How can entrepreneurs continue building meaningful connections even when their schedules become overwhelming?
That's another really good question. Look, if you spend, I'm one of those people that it's not a set time on my calendar, but I have set things that I do every day. And one of those is connecting with other people, right? During the day, I usually take 15 or 20 minutes to go through my phone and pick out somebody that I haven't spoken to in a long time and just call them out of the blue and say, hey, I was thinking about you and I want to see how you're doing. And that's it. And they're like, oh, you want to set up a call? No, I just calling to see how you're doing. And so the good news is when you do that, when you adopt that style of putting that time in your schedule, because here's the thing, we're all very busy. I'm extremely busy, right? I try to manage part of my own calendar. I have my assistant, Julie. She's putting stuff on my calendar all the time. And so I'm busy. And then my wife throws stuff on my calendar that I don't know about, that she calls me up and says, hey, in 20 minutes, we got to go do this or that and the other thing, whatever. And it can look daunting, but here's the thing. I guarantee you, everybody on planet Earth can find 15 to 30 minutes of their day that they just waste time, that they could use that for connecting with other people. I'll give you an example. I am now banned from going on TikTok because I follow this channel of these gorillas, these silverback gorillas, right?
Mm.
And these little gorillas are hilarious. They climb all over the dad, they pull his ears, they poke him in the nose, all this. It's hilarious. And I start watching them, and the next thing I know, 30 minutes is gone,
It's a
15
half
minutes.
hour later.
Yeah. So if I can watch a
I'm
gorilla, yeah,
I'm guilty as that same way. Same
yeah,
way.
we all are. We all are. So if I can waste a half an hour watching a gorilla, I can certainly find a way to put a half an hour in my schedule to connect with either old people that, or people I know that I've lost touch with temporarily, or current people that I need to contact, or reach out to people that I don't know yet and introduce myself. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of my clients, when I tell them that LinkedIn obviously is the business end of social media, and they want to reach out to people, they want to tell them what they do and everything. I said, no, stop, stop. If you want to reach out to somebody, reach out to them. Don't sell. You have to bring some value to that
Mhm.
relationship,
That's
and
right.
you cut an article out, do something, say, look, I was just thinking of you when I read this, and do that 3 or 4 times. After they get used to you, then say, you know what, I would be really interested in a cup of coffee. Would you like to do it virtually or in person? Something like that. But that's way down the line. So you have to do things in a certain pace. Okay, so let's bring this podcast full circle, even though we can probably talk for the next 2 hours. If a listener is currently facing a major obstacle in their business, what relationship building step could help them move forward?
The not so obvious answer is that if you're having a struggle in your business, the best use of your time would be take the knowledge that you know and go help somebody else. Find somebody else who's having some kind of issue that you've solved and go and help them. Or you mentioned before you're working with some young folks, some high school kids. Go find some young people that have minds that want to learn something and help them. I'm a big believer in whatever you want to call it, karma, what goes around comes around, all these kinds of things. Yes, you need to look, if you're having an issue, you got to find a way, connect with some people that can help you solve that issue. But the best way to deal with that, in my opinion, is instead of focusing on your problem and what's gone wrong, is take the things that have gone right that you have a knowledge base on and go find somebody who's having a problem with that and help them.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Scott, this was great. You are a great guest. But if somebody wanted to contact you to be mentored by you, to have your services, or just to reach out and say hello, what's the best way that they can contact you?
Yeah, they can call me up. I answer my phone. If I don't answer my phone, I'll call them back. They can call me, they can email me, or they can visit my website, whatever. Best way is to just call me or text me. And my phone number, if you want me to give it, is 732 area code 991 3000. That's my cell. And you can call that number. If I don't answer it, I'll call you back.
Outstanding. Very good. This conversation is a reminder that growth doesn't happen alone. Behind every successful business is a network of people who provide advice, support, perspective, and opportunity along the way. Take one step this week. Reach out to someone in your network you trust and start a real conversation. Sometimes a fresh perspective from the right person can change everything. If you found value in today's episode, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Networking Unleashed, building profitable connections so you keep getting the best insights on networking and communication. And share this episode with someone who's building a business and could benefit from the power of strong relationships. If you'd help strengthen your communication and building connections that lead to opportunity, visit Forman.com to learn how I work with professionals, teams, and organizations. So until next time, stay resilient, stay connected, and keep building relationships that move your business forward. Scott, again, thank you for coming on the podcast. You're a great guest.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I really enjoyed our conversation.
Well, hold on, folks. Don't go anywhere. Let's hear from our sponsors. David Neal, co founder, Revved Up Kids. Revved Up Kids is on a mission to protect children and teens from sexual abuse, exploitation, and trafficking. They provide prevention training programs for children, teens, and adults. To learn more, go to revvedupkids.org. Henry Kaplan, Century 21. When it comes to making the biggest financial decision of your life, leave it in the hands of a proven professional, Henry Kaplan. Henry is a global real estate agent with Century 21, celebrating his 41st year in business. No matter where you're moving, Henry has the right connections for you. You can contact Henry at 561 427 4888. A huge thank you to our guest for sharing such incredible insights today. And of course, a big shout out to you, our amazing listeners, for tuning in and spending your time with us. If you're interested in my digital courses, being coached, or having me come and talk to your company, just go to Michael and fill out the request form. Remember, networking isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. So take what you've learned today, get out there, and make some meaningful connections. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little networking inspiration. Let's keep the conversation going. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, or my website, forman.com/podcasts.